The YouTube spaces are all closed and dead.
Yeah.
I'm wondering why? What's next? What is happening?
It is tough, though, when you're long established at the top. It really is tough to do new stuff when you're the one paving the way.
You know, we're just going to be a gas station. That's going to be the extent of our relationship. Is like, you don't have any relationship with like 7-Eleven, do you? You just go there and then you leave when you're done. That seems like one of those juvenoia arguments that every generation makes. Oh, back in my day, you know, we could be fully satisfied and entertained with a pile of dirt and a stick in the backyard. But these kids today, you have to give them these crazy SpongeBob cartoons.
When I talk to people who just have this weird commitment, they have this notion of what a YouTuber is in their head, and they want to do it. And like, you're just probably not going to make it because your first thought isn't like, how am I going to make content that a lot of people enjoy?
Hey, welcome to the Create Unknown, the home of Make Something Mean Something. I am Kevin Lieber. It is TCU night, which is Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. We are live on Discord with our patrons and lurkers, and we are without guests tonight. We are flying solo here to talk about the biggest things on our minds. And with me, as always, to do so is Matthew Tabor.
Yeah, we've run out of guests. We've hit the end of YouTube and looked over a cliff. And that's one of the things we wanted to talk about. We haven't done that. We do have guests in the future. We just wanted to hang out tonight for a little bit because there's some big YouTube stuff to talk about. YouTube v. TikTok and the implications of that. But the number one thing that has been on our minds this week has been shirts.
Yes. So the shirts are available now for all. You know, we first rolled them out to our patrons only, of course. Because, both designs, because our patrons get some deals for being patrons. They depending on your tier.
Choice. Yeah,
you get discounts, or if you're an upper tier elite member, you get the shirts for free, literally. But if you're not into the whole Patreon thing and you'd like to support the show, or you just want the greatest t-shirts that money can buy, then check out the links pretty much everywhere in the description, on social, and elsewhere. This was not a fly-by-night operation. Let's just put it that way.
No, fly-by-year. It's more like it.
Fly-by-year.
Yeah, we've started to get orders in from the patrons. Like Kevin said, Tots get 20% off, Dumpster Crew 50% off. Anybody above that is getting stuff for free. But that's, what is that? What is that? $12.50 off a shirt for a $5 a month thing? Like, this is good business to become a patron just to get that discount on the shirts. So if you've been on the fence, if you've been really fighting your inner demon over this, whether you should become a patron of the Create Unknown, here's a new incentive to pull you under and in with us. But like Kevin said, like the best shirts, we really tried hard to get the very best quality material and print, and then price it at a very friendly price with shipping included for the U.S. We're really excited about that. And now you can look at the designs on social media, on Patreon, in the Discord, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you've heard us lament a lot over the years about different types of merch that you have gotten, I have gotten over the years. Those like crusty, stiff shirts that sometimes, it's like playing roulette sometimes. You don't know what's going to arrive when you open up the package, and lots of times it doesn't go too well. Not just the garment, but the ink can be smelly and like 3 inches thick and horrible and crack the first time you wash it. And we did our due diligence to prevent all of that and make sure that these are the softest, nicest shirts that will be in your drawer or in your closet hung up if you're Matthew Tabor.
That's right. Hung up in rainbow order. We wanted to make sure, though, that you got this shirt and thought immediately, like, this is one of the softest shirts that I own. That's what we wanted, and that's kind of what you should expect on it. Sorry, I choked.
You're just getting so worked up about the shirts. So yeah, check them out.
I'm getting choked up.
And become a patron if you want a discount, or just get the shirts without and bypass the whole Patreon thing. If that's not your thing, you can still get a shirt, but act quickly because supplies are limited, because we are sending them all to our past guests as well. So everyone will be rocking it.
If you buy YouTube merch to exfoliate your back because the shirt is so sandpapery and so difficult to wear, if you buy YouTube merch specifically to chafe your nipples on the rock hard ink that's on the front, then these are the wrong shirts for you. These are not going to help you. They're not going to exfoliate you. They're going to drape gently on your body and just give you a little massage all day long.
Yeah, well, maybe if you've already exfoliated and, you know, like sandpapered off that first layer of nipple skin, then the Create Unknown shirts will feel that much better. So maybe that's the process that you should kind of undergo in order to wear one. But
it's an option.
You know, you talked about us running out of YouTube guests. Obviously, that's a joke. We'll be speaking with Jack Manifold next week, which we're very, very excited about.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. Yes. Quite a talented chap.
It's a good 99. It's a good episode 99.
Yes, for episode 99. But one thing that I did notice recently is someone else seems to have run out of YouTubers, and that's VidCon, which appears no longer to be a YouTube event. And, you know, I'm wondering what you think the impetus behind that is, what the ramifications are. And obviously, I'll start by saying this clearly seems like a YouTube decision and not a VidCon decision. I can't imagine a world in which VidCon is, you know, saying no thanks for the sponsorship money, YouTube, we're good. Like, that's not a thing that would have happened.
Yeah. Well, this is the deal on what's played out here, is that this year TikTok is the main sponsor of VidCon, and things like featured creators seem to reflect that. Whereas it used to be, you know, 5 years ago, it was a convention for people who loved YouTube, for YouTube creators, for the top people on the platform to come hang out for a week as well and meet all the fans. That's just not really VidCon 2021, it seems. It's really TikTok heavy in terms of the creators and the content being promoted, which would make sense in the shadow of that TikTok sponsorship. But what is happening here is my question, Kevin.
Well, first, let me preface by saying that if you're not interested in VidCon, that's fine, because my question is actually a much larger one, because I think this VidCon thing is just another notch in the belt of what is like an obvious pattern over the last 2 years, which is YouTube seeming to be kind of over the whole, like, I don't know, supporting its creators or promoting its creators or doing things for and with their creators in a way that they were excited about 5 years ago, like extremely excited about. It seemed like maybe even like 6 or 7 years ago, where, there were so many programs. There was this like Beacon program that they used to do where YouTubers had like billboards and were on the sides of buses and train cars. Like literally, I remember like SciShow and cool. Rosanna Pansino was one of them. They just did that to promote people from the platform because they wanted to draw attention to people who are creating top tier content strictly for YouTube. And now we're at a point where, you know, that's long dead. That program's long dead. YouTube Originals is very close to being dead. You know, that seems like it'll be dead by next year. First it was YouTube Red, and then it was YouTube Originals. I mean, that thing has just been, you'd think it'd be this massive thing by now. And instead it's just dwindled year after year. And now this VidCon thing where it's like, YouTube's not even involved. Oh, YouTube Rewind is dead. This is my list of just off the top of my head of things that are just either dead or close to dead when it comes from or in terms of like YouTube doing creator focused things.
This is why I think it's good that we talk about this, because we were talking earlier and realized that, like, say 2017, so 3 VidCons ago, since we skipped one, there was nothing in 2020 in the US at least. 3 years ago, VidCon is about YouTube stuff. It draws the top people in YouTube. YouTube is promoting this, that, and the other thing, like you're talking about the thing with Rosanna Penzino and the Beacon program. You know, it's just blasting stuff everywhere. Originals are beginning to happen, and there were a lot of great ones that opened up, from Michael's show to the Karate Kid show. That was really good content.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah, and then you would go to VidCon to celebrate all of this stuff because it was a convention that was 99% YouTube. 3 years later, what is the list? It's not just about YouTube anymore. YouTube doesn't seem to have programs like that Beacon thing. They're not pushing out. They're not sponsors of VidCon. It's a little less kind of mandatory to be there. I know it's tough for a lot of foreign people right now, internationals, getting to the US anyway, with with VidCon in October. But yeah, and then Kevin mentioning like all the originals and stuff seem to be closing down. In 3 years, it goes from that first list of things to the tail end, like the window shutting on all of them. That's kind of nuts.
Oh, and I forgot one. The spaces, the YouTube spaces are all closed and dead, and they're not opening up ever again. If anyone's not familiar with the YouTube spaces, they were studios and office space that YouTube owned, and all around the world. There was one in Los Angeles. There was one in New York. There was one
everywhere. They had them in India,
Tel Aviv.
Yeah,
all over the world. I believe there was one in Japan.
Yep. Yeah. The one in Tel Aviv came in after. Yeah. Mumbai.
Oh, yeah. Maybe Brazil. I don't remember exactly if they ever opened up one in Brazil, but not anymore. Now they're all closed. They closed during COVID, but they're giving up on them. I mean, it seems like that they could have kept them open if they wanted to, but whatever. They're over it. They just seem over all of this, and I'm wondering kind of why. What's next? What are they thinking? Like, what is happening? And I haven't heard anybody talk about this or pick up on this, but it's really obvious when you start running down the list of things that are gone.
Yeah, I can't name anything that is kind of remarkable that YouTube is in the lead on at this point. You know, and the newest thing of significance that has happened is YouTube Shorts, which is basically TikTok on YouTube. So the one big new initiative, which is great. I love YouTube Shorts. It's very cool in 1,000 ways. So I'm not knocking it at all. It's a great feature. But the truth of it is that they didn't debut it. They're just absorbing, the roughly the same idea that TikTok is doing now. So they're shutting down all the stuff that was kind of remarkable. Those spaces, I think their plan is to go to pop-up spaces. I don't know what a pop-up studio space is going to be like. I can't even really envision what that is. So I say the name pop-up, and I have no idea what it means. I'm just regurgitating things I've read, because it just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, Dan says in the chat, soundproof shipping containers, that's completely viable, that they could have like shipping container studio space. I don't know. I don't know.
Who wants to shoot a video in a shipping container?
I would. I don't know. People who take hostages, that would be amazing. If your YouTube channel is specifically about kidnapping and taking hostages, then you want to be able to film in a soundproof shipping container at the YouTube space.
You're a ransom YouTuber?
That's right. Yeah. You don't monetize your videos because you're going to make enough from the ransom to keep going.
The shorts thing is obviously just a response to TikTok. And again, yeah, you're right. Like, I'm not knocking shorts. I think that they're good. And YouTube probably should have done that when Vine died. It would have made a lot more sense back then. And now they would be crushing it probably if they had just taken up that, you know, the power vacuum that was left when Vine went out of business. And now they're playing catch up with TikTok, which TikTok seems to be the ones ruling the day in terms of doing. And they have to, you know, obviously there's a lot of bad press around the world, you know, for TikTok. So they need to do a lot of things to make up for that. And what better way than, you know, sponsoring VidCon, supporting these creators and pushing them and helping them have careers on the platform. Like that all makes sense. They're also the new kids on the block when it comes to this, whereas YouTube has been around forever. But it's just weird to me because it just really does seem to me like YouTube has outgrown a lot of its. And I'm not saying YouTube, the platform, is like dead or dying or no one goes on it or, you know, you shouldn't be a YouTuber. I'm talking about the company YouTube and their initiatives surrounding the support of creators seems to be gone.
I think that's fair. I think it's completely fair. Like it's kind of sad to put it that way, but there's just such a massive attitude shift from just a few years ago to now. And now, like, all I see about YouTube and from YouTube is like copyright strike problems, false channel takedowns. You know, like that's kind of it. And I subscribe to a lot of stuff in a lot of places to stay on top of that, everywhere from LinkedIn to day-to-day stuff on Twitter. I should see it. If it existed, I would see a lot of it. And I kind of don't. It's just not happening. And I don't know what that means. I don't know. I don't know what happens when you're still the #1 site by a mile and there is no close second when it comes to, you know, I guess now long form content is defined as anything over 60 seconds. So there's no other way or nowhere else to go. Although TikTok is experimenting with 3-minute videos. Did you see that in Australia?
Yeah. I think that they've rolled it out in the US already, 1 to 3 minute videos. But
okay.
But as far as I'm concerned, so, I don't see how they can go to making 12-minute, 22-minute. I don't think you're watching like the Right Opinions next 3-hour video on TikTok anytime soon. It seems like that would kind of break their entire business model. So it seems like YouTube is safe on that in that regard. Well, who knows? Who knows? It's ridiculous to say that. Who knows? But at least for the time being, it seems as though they're safe on the long form stuff. I just wonder why. Like, do you have any like one inkling I have is they're scared of the PR backlash from like promoting a certain creator and something that they do gets them in trouble. And now YouTube looks bad by proxy for, you know, supporting XYZ creator. You know, that's the first thing that comes to mind with why they would pull back so much on celebrating, promoting, and supporting, like publicly, the people who really make up like the faces of their platform.
I don't know. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means. All of it. Because they could put a lot of effort into things that are useful for creators, that don't cost a lot of money, that don't require tremendous assets, you know, from anywhere, and they don't. And you just kind of wonder how that attitude changed. It is tough, though, when you're long established at the top. It's really hard to innovate. Like, it really is tough to do new stuff when you're the one paving the way. And so pretty much every company that gets that big and holds on to the top spot that long and has very few challenges, especially, you know, they get a little conservative. And I think that's what's happening here. But they could still do a ton. They could still do a lot on the community and outreach side. And even little things like Rewind, which should be an obvious, everybody has fun for 9 minutes, slam dunk guaranteed feel good video, that turns sour, you know, and we're not going to get one this year. And that's a result of failure over and over. So none of it adds up to be real positive. And I think that I don't think, we were trying to get goaded in the chat to, what is the exact phrase? I'll say it because I'm supposed to not say it. Yeah, is this the end of YouTube? No, that's not it. That's not it at all. But I think we're seeing a pretty big change, and a change that's significant to creators. I think we've talked about it with so many people. Not everybody loves TikTok. Like Diana Cowan last week said, that wasn't like the number one thing for her, whereas, other people were like, yeah, I would start there. But it's time to think about short bites of things and working differently to get your content to subscribers, because I think the YouTube juice that's been flowing real hard for a while is a trickle. Do you think, Kevin, saying YouTube juice trickling is fair?
I don't know, because there's still so many huge creators popping up all the time and, doing great views. And
yeah.
I don't think it's really like a platform or an audience problem. I just see it as this weird change in the tide. And maybe that's just how it is, and maybe YouTube never should have gotten involved in the first place, I guess, perhaps in trying to boost certain creators over others. Maybe that was a weird thing, and they decided that, they're not in the business of picking and choosing the types of creators they're going to promote. Instead, they'll just promote no one and allow kind of the platform to do what it does, and they'll stay out of it completely. It seems like that's a decision, like a conscious decision that they've made recently, part of which I can understand how it got too big for them. YouTube Rewind became this thing where all of a sudden it was really hard for them to just try to cram in, I don't know, like the 200 top creators or most recognizable creators from around the world into this like 7-minute music video thing at the end of the year. It became this almost impossible task to do so. And maybe that's an extension of what we're talking about. Maybe they feel to some degree that YouTube's too big. There's way too many creators. We can't possibly lift, everybody. So we'll just not really focus on anyone. I don't know. I mean, I don't particularly think that's a great move. I'm not Susan Wojcicki, so it doesn't really matter, I guess, what I think. But I always go back to this idea of doing like a series of documentaries annually rather than the YouTube Rewind thing, which became just kind of cringy and burdensome, I think, for everyone. But I still think that YouTube has something so unique that they should be proud of and celebrating. I mean, as they have always tried to position themselves as like a legitimate media property up against, the MGMs and the Netflix and the Paramounts of the world, the Universals. And I could see that would be my idea, is that, and I've mentioned this before on the podcast, is them just even hiring like great documentarians, like great documentary filmmakers, maybe 5 of them a year, go around and they make a documentary following one YouTuber each. So, and at that point they do have to pick and choose. But I think if you're only doing like 5, then that comes with the territory that, like, obviously there's only a handful you can choose. We're not going to make a documentary about 400 people. So I don't know. It seems like it takes away a little bit of that too many choices to choose from scenario. But then you get more of a glimpse into what it's like being a YouTuber.
If you got 5 very different people, I'm thinking of this as you're talking about it, 5 very different people to make their documentaries, but make one of them iDubbbz, just like he had the last 2 documentaries, and you had like this sufficient range of possibilities. If they threw that kind of bone to the YouTube community, it would be fantastic. Everybody would go ballistic. about how amazing and epic and awesome it would be to get the thing co-opted by Filthy Frank and iDubbbz, some crazy thing like that. There's got to be a way that they could institute what you're talking about and do it in a way that's just like an obvious home run for all of YouTube.
I don't think that they would do that. I think that's almost the opposite of what I think that they want. I don't think they want to throw any bones to actual YouTube creators. I think that they want to work with traditional media. They trust traditional media for some reason. So they would hire some Louis Theroux or whatever to make the documentary about Mr. Beast or whomever, you know what I mean? So then it becomes like a quote unquote legitimate property in the eyes of everyone in the industry who they care about, who's writing for Variety magazine or whatever. But at the same time, it is like a deep dive and celebration into these people whose lives are dedicated to making their platform what it is.
Yeah. Everything is so weirdly depressing too. Like I see so few things that are just plain like fun and enjoyable. And it's always stuff that's like, times are so tough. The last 16 months have been awful. Here's, 9 hours on like mental health practices. I'm not, trying to thumbs down that in terms of importance. It's just like that's not feel good stuff. That's not, like the goofy things you saw 5 years ago in a YouTube rewind. It's kind of heavy. It's not fun. It's just not fun.
Well, that also seems to me what would be a feature of this like 5 documentary idea, which is maybe 3 of them are heavy. I don't know. But out of 5, you got to be able to find 1 or 2 that are feel good, happy, great stories. Oh my God, this amazing thing happened. And it's the craziest thing ever. Yay, hooray. It's so funny. And maybe that's even part of who you hire as the filmmakers. And I know I'm being naive to some degree that, documentaries usually take multiple years and take forever, but that really also is just dependent upon the subject matter. Like if you follow around one person for a year, then that's the subject matter. That's the duration of the investigation. And here are the results. We put together this thing and here are the ups and downs, et cetera, et cetera. But that's just my idea of what YouTube could do to still show some semblance of interest in their creators. But I don't know. It seems like the decision has been just pull the plug on the whole thing.
This is my question for you, though, because we all know you are 62 years young. You've been on YouTube for 43 of those 62 years. You started at 19 back in the 80s. No, it would be the 70s, wouldn't it? Looking forward, I imagine that you're not planning on quitting YouTube tomorrow. You've got some life left in you. What does that mean, though, as somebody who's been doing it for 10 years? It's been this super supportive, highlight-filled, relaxed and fun kind of thing, and the tide is changing a little bit here in terms of what events like VidCon focus on. What does this feel like for the veterans of YouTube?
I think at best it feels definitely like the end of an era. That's probably the best way it feels. It's not like necessarily an emotional feeling, but it's a kind of a pragmatic way of looking at it. It seems like the sun has set a bit on what YouTube used to be as far as supporting its creators, at least like, publicly and with events and, different things like that. At worst, it just kind of seems a little sterile and, I don't know, impersonal and going in this direction of being that sort of faceless, monolithic corporation thing where everybody's just kind of on their own and YouTube itself just really doesn't care. I mean, I know that they've had such trouble with that perspective from creators forever. And it seems to me like they've given up trying to win over anyone. It almost seems like they're just going to throw their hands up in a lot of ways and say, like, look, it's not like it used to be. Like we're not involved in what you people do more or less on our platform, where, we're just going to be like a gas station that you pull your car into and fill up and then leave when you're done. That's going to be the extent of our relationship. Is like, you don't have any relationship with like 7-Eleven, do you? You just go there and then you leave when you're done.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. And everybody's got to recognize that, that if they expect things to roll back and be like they were, that's not happening. Like, we don't know what's going to happen, but I think we know a couple things that aren't going to happen. And I've noticed a lot of this nostalgic kind of talk in private conversations, where people just want things to be 2016 again, and that's gone. That's gone, and that's not coming back. And it doesn't mean that you have to jump onto TikTok and start listening to K-pop and doing whatever it is that puts you in like a new cutting edge community. But you've got to set your expectations properly on what it's going to be like. Yeah, and check out the new stuff. Poke around on TikTok. If anybody's been doing writing, Substack is a real thing. Substack has exploded over the last 6 months or so. It's viable now to write regularly about a topic and get people to basically pay you to do it. Check other things out. Wattpad is coming back, Maria says, and I've seen that in a couple places too. Wattpad was a place to share writing. Yeah, check these things out, because you cannot depend on one community or one company to have the same mood, to give you the same things year after year. So Jake of Vsauce 3 mentions OnlyFans in the episode chat. That's completely and totally valid, to be honest. OnlyFans as an emerging platform is just as disruptive here as TikTok has been, and a lot of people are building massive communities on OnlyFans for adult content or not adult content. It's just a good place to congregate for certain kinds of stuff. That wasn't around 3 years ago. Everything is different now, so you got to be aware of that and kind of roll with it. Figure something out. Check these things out.
OnlyFans might be more disruptive in some sense, because people are making real money off that platform. They in a way that people are not really making a whole lot of money on TikTok. That's just not part of the deal yet. I know they have some funding and stuff, but on OnlyFans, I mean, that literally is a money exchange program or platform.
I saw some stuff about that recently too, is that, in this, what's going to happen kind of thing. Somebody, I forget who, or I'd credit them, pretty much said, as long as YouTube is bringing the most money, nothing's going to change. TikTok rates are not that great. So there's no like YouTube exodus over to TikTok. Yeah, I mean, if that changes, if AdSense and sponsorships on YouTube drop by 50% or something, and TikTok sweetens the deal, then all of a sudden we have a different game on paper. And that will drive, all of a sudden, if the money is there, all of a sudden, a lot of people are going to start thinking about, short form content and miraculously take their 15-minute videos into 45 seconds. But right now the incentive just isn't there on paper, but the incentive's, increasingly there on community.
Yeah. So long term, I just wonder, will this work out for YouTube? I wonder if there will be any sort of change, or maybe there are programs that they're talking about behind closed doors we don't know about that they'll roll out, and all of a sudden, this kind of narrative will flip on its head. But for now, I have just noticed this ongoing pattern of YouTube just chopping things off at the knees when it comes to creator-focused programs, to the point where it doesn't seem to be a whole lot left. And I also haven't heard anything on the horizon when it comes to any of this stuff. So I don't know what they're doing. Maybe this will just become the new norm. But like I said, at best, it's definitely seems like the end of an era as far as YouTube's concerned, with how they just highlight their creators. Yeah, Jake from Vsauce 3 is in the chat right now, and he did mention that when he was working at Beam, which was Casey Neistat's company, that they had sold a show to YouTube Originals called Behind the Screens, which was an hour-long docu-series focused on a different creator each episode. Well, there you go. So they tried, I guess, to make this, but then, Beam died, so then the show died. But, geez, you'd think, I mean, this was years ago at this point, they would have just taken that concept internally and reboot it. Like, do it yourselves. Like, fund.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
There are a lot of ways to do that, and they didn't.
I don't know who some famous documentarians are. Errol Morris, does he still make
I'd want
documentaries? Ken Burns?
Yeah. Joe Berlinger is one of my favorite. Oh, Jesus Christ. Ken Burns doing YouTube would be exhaustive and exhausting. Oh, Jake says that Errol Morris was literally part of the deck for the style they wanted to go for. So yeah, you guys, this is so weird because Kevin, you and Jake should have some sort of company together because your minds seem to match and I can see it working.
Yes.
If neither of you had thought of this before now, it's a good time to be entrepreneurs.
It's a great suggestion.
Well, Vsauce. I like Vsauce. I always liked that concept back in the day too. But there's a line in the chat that I want to ask you. Linus says that TikTok is geared toward younger audiences and that they'll migrate to YouTube as they age up. How valid is that? Because I looked at that. I'm like, yeah, I think that makes sense for a portion and doesn't apply to others. And I'm not sure if that's right. What do you think?
That's definitely interesting. There could be some truth to that. I'm not sure. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I think that obviously the Vine audience migrated to YouTube, but that was really kind of, they were forced to because Vine died. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say because I don't know that if TikTok is just geared towards kids because it's new. And sometimes, honestly, things are that simple. Where it's like the new thing is for us and the old thing is for old people. So it's lame. A lot of stuff plays out like that, whether it's like music or fashion, television, a lot of entertainment just comes down to like, here's the new thing. That's for me because I'm a kid and it's new and I'm new. And that old thing that, my parents watch, that's lame. And it's possible to me that some of that plays a role here. Like, what I'm saying is I don't necessarily buy the idea that, like, the younger generation has a worse attention span, so they can only sit there for 30-second bursts of things. Like, I don't know. That seems like one of those juvenoia arguments that every generation makes about the previous one, where it's like, oh, back in my day, we could be fully satisfied and entertained for hours with a pile of dirt and a stick in the backyard. But these kids today, you have to give them these crazy SpongeBob cartoons.
Yeah, it's a mess. The whole thing is a mess, and part of me cares about that, and part of me doesn't care at all because we have such a good network of awesome people. We just do. It's fun. Like, I don't care what TikTok or YouTube do because we've got, like, we hang out with the Baby Gang people, talk to them every day, and that's amazing. And if YouTube is like half as good as it is now, that's still going to happen. Like, we've worked hard to get to know a lot of different creators of different types. We can talk to them. We can have a good time when we run into them at VidCon, even if, like, VidCon is 20% YouTube and 80% TikTok. Who cares? Like, people get wrapped up in these big meta changes, and they will change things for a channel like Vsauce too. Like, ad rates are going to change one way or the other. Sponsorship rates are going to change. Maybe they go up, maybe they go down. I don't know, but things are going to be different. Shorts have changed things a little bit because, there's a really good reason to make some tiny videos instead of, 12-minute, 15-minute epics. Like, if you enjoy a bunch of people within the kind of YouTube ecosystem, then it doesn't matter what's happening there. You're going to have a good time. You're going to have awesome conversations with people who are funny. They're going to make stuff just like, I want to shout out the Real Weird Sickos podcast. They've, I think, released their 3rd episode now. This is 3 people from the Create Unknown Discord who are incredibly funny individually and combine to be really funny with the 3 of them. Tom Videogre, Dojangles, and Charles Kahn. These are 3 radically different people. It's an amazing podcast. Well, who cares if podcasting is dying? Who cares if YouTube is dying? Whatever. It's 3 funny people who have made a very funny show. We'll pop the link in the description on it so you can listen. It's probably not safe for work, but that's okay. But that's going to keep happening. When you know cool people and follow them on Twitter and just all that stuff, you're going to have a good time. So I just hope people don't get too wrapped up into the VidCon stuff about it being a TikTok event, because now it is. We know for a fact that VidCon is a TikTok event in 2021.
Yeah, and I just would love to be on a fly on the wall to know why YouTube is not interested in that anymore. That's the big question of the episode to me. The microcosm.
How do we find out?
What?
How do we find out? We need an answer to this.
Jeez, I don't know.
We need to find out why YouTube did not sponsor VidCon. Now, do we still have that graphic of the sponsors that somebody sent in the episode chat? Send them again, because we can list off who these are. One of them is Game Grumps, which was a bit of a surprise. Game Grumps. What else?
I have
who
it.
else was on there, Kevin?
I have it opened up. It's so the lead sponsor, obviously, as we've said, is TikTok. Then it's Discord. Actually, is a big sponsor. Jelly Smack.
Makes sense.
Black Magic Design.
Jelly Smack. Yeah.
High Five Universe. The Ben Group.
I don't know High Five Universe. Yeah.
Yep. High Five Universe says that we create entertaining, resourceful, and high-quality promotional video content for our viewers. Please subscribe to the channel for more exciting stuff. So it sounds like a YouTube channel.
Right, yeah. Okay.
The Ben Group.
Yeah. Some of them, yeah.
Hi-Ho.
Like Discord.
Rap Book, Game Grumps, and vidIQ. That's the list.
Yeah, and if I grabbed somebody who's like a day-to-day involved in YouTube person or super fan who's familiar with everything, if I said, what's the main sponsor of VidCon, and list off 9 possible other sponsors, would that be the list of 10 that you just read? I don't think so. I mean, some people might say Discord and vidIQ. vidIQ is traditionally been at these events for years now, so that makes sense. But no, it's not the same people anymore, the same companies. That may be a function too of Viacom owning it and running it for a few years now. They may have taken a hard turn on how they wanted to use VidCon. But who knows? I guess we'll find out at some point.
Here's a conspiracy theory to throw out for you. What if Google is worried about COVID and they don't want to sponsor VidCon in case there's a big COVID outbreak? They don't want to be associated with having funded that.
Okay.
What about that?
It's possible. I mean, hey, like I said, when you've been at the top for a long time, you get conservative. That's totally plausible as one of those conservative moves. It's like, you know what? We'll come back and do other things when it's perfectly clear. And to their credit, to anybody's credit who's waited on this, just yesterday, California has reinstated the indoor mask requirement. Who knows, because of the Delta variant of COVID, and who knows where we're going to be in October. Is it going to be lockdown again, masks again? Is VidCon going to get canceled? Who knows? Maybe they just didn't want to screw with that. Yeah.
Maybe I'm overthinking it. And it's as simple as that. That's a possibility. It's a possibility. That's not outside of the realm of possibilities here. But it doesn't explain everything else, the rest of the list that I ran down. But you're right. It's the most important thing is that people are really the most important thing is that people are able to use these platforms and, you know, build an audience and have fun on them, etc. The worst thing is just having people's channels deleted and censored and dealing with, you know, these strikes and blah, 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 blah. Like that's really the worst stuff. What we're talking about is really kind of superfluous stuff, but it is. Yeah. It is a changing of the tides, from what I can tell. And I'm really interested in what Google wants to do in terms of owning content, because if anybody's been paying attention to the news lately, all of these giant corporations want to own content, whether it's, you know, Amazon buying MGM, I think, and who else? Like Warner Brothers and Discovery merged, and all of these companies want to be part of the content game, except I guess for YouTube. It seems like Google was trying with the whole YouTube Originals thing, but that has seemed to be something that they weren't super excited with. They even didn't they even sell Cobra Kai to Netflix? Although that's not an unusual thing. That happens all the time.
It's on Netflix now. A
company produces something and then they will sell it to somebody else to broadcast or distribute it. Like that's pretty standard stuff. But they don't seem to be interested in making the next
like
Cobra Kai
landmark show. Yeah, you know, it reminded me of like when a sports team after the trade deadline, like deals its number one player, you know, this like perennial all-star. And you look at that and you're like, okay, they are deliberately doing a sale and giving up on the playoffs this year. Like they're not even trying, if they're, you know, like trying to save money on moving this guy. I get that same feel with something like Cobra Kai, where it's like we've got one banger of a show right now. I think we're probably done with YouTube Originals, so let's shop this while we can do it at its peak. That's the feel that I get. But the chat is saying a couple things that we need to address here. One is from Kevin with an E. He's been one of the longest supporters of the Create Unknown on Patreon, so he's a legacy. He just said MySpace leads to Facebook, leads to YouTube, leads to TikTok, and maybe this is the shift. Well, if that's true, that would suggest TikTok has like 5 years of baller dominance.
I'm glad that you mentioned Facebook, because I don't think about Facebook. And I think that there's a reason for that.
I don't log on anymore at all.
Man, yeah, like what? I don't know what happened with Facebook, but that does seem to be really getting perilously close. At least in terms of my perception of it, maybe like the traffic and the numbers and the revenue paints a completely different picture. But my perception of it is just like that place is dead. Like who is creating content or you really using Facebook anymore at this point? It just seems like a ghost town. And I'm old. I'm not 17. Like you know,
you should be prime demographic.
Yeah. Like I'm not a kid who's saying Facebook is for boomers. Like I'm a boomer, you know, mowing my lawn with my Monster Energy drink saying Facebook is for boomers. Man, oh man. How long can that last? Or is this like some weird, to go back to an earlier analogy where we just have these platforms that you age into where, you know, it's almost like going from elementary school to middle school to high school to college. There's like a similar kind of pathway where you go from TikTok to YouTube to Facebook to, I don't know, it's at the end of that line.
Well, there's a lot going on in the chat right now that's worth mentioning. So I got to scroll up and pull on this one comment that Jen made. Jen, who works on the Out of Frame YouTube channel. They have about 250,000 subscribers and make very good video essays about movies and TV shows, really analyzing the themes in them. And she says it's really hard to talk about anything interesting anymore on YouTube. And a channel like hers absolutely fits that statement. When you try to talk about current events, anything difficult, we've talked about it with Drew Durnell, like with wars. Like, how do you talk about history without without mentioning anything controversial or war related or whatever. Like, it's insane. That sucks. That sucks. And those people don't have a solution yet. YouTube has made it. They've pledged to do a better job with educational channels and giving them latitude, but that hasn't seemed to kick in yet. They announced it months ago, and I just have seen no evidence of that at all. Maria says Facebook meme pages are doing fine. She's right. Groups, I think, are unique on Facebook. You can't quite get that anywhere. But yeah, that's kind of a niche use. Let's see. Oh, but Dan, this is what spurred me to say this. Dan of Producer Dan fame said it's interesting to see where Twitch falls on this whole continuum, because it isn't just YouTube and TikTok. There are a lot of options out there for hybrid content, and Twitch is one of them. Twitch has even pulled in some of the OnlyFans style content in recent months. There's a lot going on right now in a couple different directions.
Yeah. Oh, Facebook Marketplace. Sorry, I'm just reading through the chat. Facebook Marketplace is booming apparently. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Is using like Facebook kind of taking over the Craigslist sphere. That does make sense. So it does seem, like Facebook. So between groups, the marketplace element, they have pivoted a little bit.
Events are nice too.
Yeah, they have pivoted a bit into other things that are still useful. Although I do think that the groups thing could potentially be better served by Discord down the road, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Possible.
Maybe not.
Tom Videogre just posted a link that the title of it is Facebook will integrate shops into Facebook Marketplace. That's a big deal conceptually. There's really no other platform that mixes user-generated content with e-commerce. Like, there just isn't. Not in that way. To sell digital assets and stuff, people have used things like Patreon and OnlyFans and whatever. But like if you weave baskets, Facebook is cool for you. You can sell your baskets on Facebook Marketplace. That's a really big shift. And I think they're doing new stuff to remain relevant. And it looks like it might work.
It sounds like they came after Craigslist and now they're coming after Etsy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That is, if I'm Etsy, I groan at that news.
Groan? If you're Etsy, you're filling your underwear, I think, right now.
Bold of you to assume I'm wearing underwear, Kevin.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, though. That's a massive slam on Etsy. Oh, that's interesting.
But who knows? Who knows if that'll work for them. But it does make sense that if the marketplace thing is just being their new cash cow, that they shift further into being an e-commerce website, which is so weird to think about. But
small patch under.
They do need to evolve. I mean, every platform needs to evolve.
Yeah, everybody has to.
At some point. I just, wonder what YouTube's is. And I do think you're right, when you mentioned earlier about people needing to look into trying different things and trying different platforms, and maybe you start making videos that are an hour long. Maybe you go the opposite way and start making videos that are 30 seconds, and all of a sudden, you like here's a great example. Sir Ren from who works with Corridor Digital. He's a good friend of Vsauce, known him for a really long time. He's a great dude. He is a phenomenal visual effects artist. Phenomenal. Ludicrously talented visual effects artist. Mm-hmm. He made like one thing, I think, that he uploaded onto TikTok. Like one thing that he put together, which is just something he does, because this is what he does, is just make like visual effects stuff. Put it on TikTok, and now all of a sudden he has millions of followers on TikTok, where he's been, on similar platform. Well, I shouldn't say similar platforms, but he's been on, Twitter and Instagram or whatever, and uploading similar content to those platforms, and, doesn't make a dent. more or less. Let's see how many followers that Ren has on Twitter. 69,000 followers on Twitter in however many years he's been on Twitter. Let's see. He's been on Twitter for 12 years. In 12 years, he has 69. Let's round it up to 70,000 followers. In like 2 days on TikTok, he got 1 million followers and 22 million likes.
Wow. That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts.
But it proves your point. It goes to show that, like, don't be locked in to these legacy platforms. Don't be locked into, well, I'm a YouTuber and I can only use YouTube, or, oh, I'm only funny on Twitter, so that's going to be my thing. It's like, you don't know. Try out these other avenues, and you could blow up there in a way that you just never are going to, like, never have and never are going to on some of these other platforms. It's just not going to happen.
Discoverability is different on those platforms, so it's nearly impossible to blow up that same way. But this reminds me of a segment of people I absolutely hate. I absolutely loathe when they speak, and it is people who say they want to be a YouTuber and really truly mean they want to be a YouTuber. So this can mean two things. It can be shorthand for, I want to make videos and put them online for people to look at. That's cool. Like, that's amazing, and that's a good goal. But if you want to specifically be a YouTube personality, you are going to have a terrible, terrible time, because this stuff changes constantly. This surrender example is perfect. This is a guy who is into making stuff. Well, he makes stuff now, as of the other day, on TikTok, which is substantially different than what he made for, what did you say, 12 years, Kevin, elsewhere?
Yeah, well, I just looked at his Twitter profile, and he signed up in 2009. So, but he's been doing great stuff that's very popular for Corridor Digital for years. But I mean, this is an outrageous story where he just uploads a thing and all of a sudden is a colossal account on this new platform.
Well, that happens when you just want to create this stuff and you're willing to do it in a way that's going to work on a new platform, in a new format, whatever. You find out how to do it. If he just doubled down, that's like, I'm a YouTuber. I do things on YouTube, and it's got to be something that perpetuates my YouTube life. Well, he misses out on TikTok that way. And so when I talk to people who just have this weird commitment to being like, they have this notion of what a YouTuber is in their head, and they want to do it, I'm like, you're just probably not going to make it, because your first thought isn't like, how am I going to make content that a lot of people enjoy? And it reminds me of watching, it was very sad. I actually saw this young man's dreams crushed in real time. He was in an office with me talking to a professor, and he was talking about how he wanted to write like this book, write whatever, but it was obvious that he didn't actually want to do it. He had this romantic, weird idea of like what a novelist was. And the professor was like, you don't want to write, you want to have written something and like have the status that comes with that. And the kid just like really took that as a blow, because he'd thought of himself as a very serious writer, when in reality he was kind of being exposed for, a bit of vanity about this kind of romantic writing figure that he wanted to be, which is a very different thing than sitting down and writing a book. Like, Kevin, that it's not easy, and it's not fun at times to sit down and pound out pages. There's a big difference. And if you don't like that part, with the YouTube equivalent, if you don't like that with making videos and art and all of that stuff, it doesn't matter what platform you're on. It doesn't matter what platform is going to be next. You're going to have a tough time.
Yeah, there's no vanity in, like, if there was a hidden camera watching anybody write a novel, there's nothing sexy, romantic, or exciting about that. It's a whole lot of thinking and typing, and then thinking and doing nothing and staring at the wall. And You know, sometimes in my case, laying face down on the floor and thinking. It's not exactly like rubbing elbows with the elites and going to cocktail parties and having hors d'oeuvres. It's not the life of the Great Gatsby. Writing The Great Gatsby is not being Gatsby.
Yeah. There's a radical difference between the videos you watch and what it takes, and we've gone into those details a whole lot. Yeah, just so much difficulty and stress and stuff. And if you aren't so committed to the creative aspect of that, then it's really tough to deal with the extremely hard parts. That stress, yeah, you've got to be okay with it. Yeah. So anyway, I hate those people. If you've been thinking like, I want to be a glamorous YouTuber or TikToker or something, like really think about what you actually want to be and why. There's a big difference between those two options. But we do need to redirect the show. Do you think it's time to redirect the show, Kevin?
Yes. Where are we going? Where are we headed?
Well, we're going to have the episode chat doesn't know this, but they're driving the rest of this episode. So whatever they demand we talk about, we will talk about. So I'm going to start, though. Can I throw you under the bus, Kevin?
Yes, I'm ready to be run over.
I'm buying them time. Yes, I'm buying them time to start submitting some things to talk about. I just saw a headline. I've been driving for half the day. I come home and I see this headline: Bill Cosby released from prison after Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturns his convictions. Kevin, what do you think about that?
How is that throwing me
Did you know about that?
Under the bus? Yeah, I mean, I saw this. Here's what I will say. I saw this on Twitter. I found it absolutely shocking, but at the same time, I know about...
Do you know why it happened? I don't.
No, and just generally speaking, I know about as much about the legal system as anyone else whose only encounter with it comes through Law and Order SVU. So that is to say, next to nothing. So I have no idea why he was released, what it was based on, what went wrong with the conviction that he was handed. I don't have a clue what is going on there, but it was shocking. That's all I would say.
Yeah, me either. You know what the surprising part to me is, I loaded up Twitter to ask for something in a group chat, and it was first I've seen it in 5-6 hours, and somebody had quote tweeted Bill Cosby, and I'm like, how the hell is Bill Cosby tweeting? Like, how does that happen? And I guess it's because he's out. So I guess when you get out, you get to tweet immediately. It's cool.
Whoa, wait. What is this Tom Videogurt link about YouTube? YouTube is opening a theater? This literally just dropped today.
This is on you.
This is like breaking news. Yeah. This article just came out as we're recording this.
Heyo.
So maybe some of our questions will be answered. All right.
Well, you know what? Here's the funny thing. It seems like an effort to do all the things that you said they needed to do.
Wait. Hold on. Let's see.
Read this description. Tom's pasted in some good stuff. Let's read that.
Yeah, so YouTube has announced this week that they announced a first naming rights agreement with Hollywood Park Sports and Entertainment venue that will name the 300-acre, 6,000-seat destination YouTube Theater. YouTube Theater will drive the uniqueness of YouTube by combining physical, in real-life events that brings creators and fans together while simultaneously sharing that same event experience with our 2 billion. Oh my God, this is hilarious. So as we're talking about how YouTube is doing nothing anymore, they literally are opening up like a Lollapalooza, like a permanent, what seems to be like a permanent YouTube festival destination. What? This is so funny. This is why
permanent VidCon.
This is such a treat for anyone who listens to the full episode, because if you stopped listening halfway through, the friggin' plot twist that you missed was definitely priceless. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah, Tom Videogard just said endless VidCon. So they are sponsoring a multi-year partnership for a 300 acres, man. Like, that's not like they got, it's not like,
That's big. Yeah.
it's not like a movie theater. It's not even like an arena. This is like a freaking festival size. This is like a theme park. It's like a YouTube land.
That's huge. Yeah, it is. It is. And the naming rights here with Hollywood Park. Can I tell you a very quick Hollywood Park story?
Yes.
Because again, it's one of those things where like I'm probably never going to be able to bring up Hollywood Park again. So this is in Inglewood in LA, and Hollywood Park has a casino out there, and I used to go play cards at it. And the very first time I went, I was in the bathroom, and I was in a bathroom stall. And you're doing what you do in a bathroom stall in a casino. And somebody came in and started pounding on the stall door. And, you know, what can you do? Like, I don't know why this is happening. And they start screaming for Jesus, which wasn't me. And in a way, that's a relief because I'm not Jesus. At the same time, what happens when they bust down this stall door and I'm sitting there with my pants around my ankles and I'm not Jesus? Are they pissed at me that I'm not him? It turned out to be the police looking for Jesus, because then I saw the badge they put it up in the little like gap between the stall door and the stall itself. And they were like, Jesus, we kind of like a we know you're in there moment, come out. And at that point, I'm like, I'm not Jesus. What else can you say? And the guy in the next stall over was like, I'm Jesus, and gave himself up to the police. And that was it. That's the end of my story. And they arrest him in the stall next to me and march him out of the bathroom. And I finish what I was doing and go back to play cards and think, well, that was weird.
You could have been part of a hostage situation.
That's my Hollywood Park story.
Dude,
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
You could have been part of a ransom
feeling
YouTuber.
where, yes. So Kevin, with an E in the chat, said you didn't get a chance to shit your pants then. No, I was deprived of that chance. I was, if you're going to get scared that badly, like, thank God you're already on a toilet. Like, how much easier can it get for you?
No mess.
But yeah, I loved Hollywood Park because it was kind of wild and a lot of fun. And, yeah, I'm thrilled. Like, I will absolutely go back and hang out at the YouTube theater in Inglewood. I like Inglewood. So yeah, I will see all the Inglewoodians soon.
Yes. Let's say that this episode, the guest was actually secretly M. Night Shyamalan. And the gigantic plot twist ends up being that YouTube is opening their own gigantic theater, or sponsoring this gigantic park/theater. And who knows what sort of events they're going to use it for, because you certainly don't sink a whole bunch of money into a theater on 300 acres of land and not utilize that. So apparently they said TikTok, good luck with the whole VidCon, peanut gallery. But we are on to bigger and better things. We just bought a theater and some entertainment grounds to go along with it. That's pretty crazy.
Made their own. Yep. It's like Isaac said in the chat, instead of doing the VidCon stuff, which admittedly, they didn't have control over because, again, Viacom bought it. I'm sure they had less influence after that over the programming and all sorts of things. Well, hey, at that point, why don't you buy your own center and open it up and have full control and do whatever you want year round? That's great. Hopefully it works. Did we get a date out of that article that said when it was going to properly open, or what? It's just the idea at this point.
It doesn't look like it.
I think it's going to be a while. Yeah. Well, good.
Probably.
Good. They took your advice in real time and bought 300 acres in the city.
Yeah. So the question is, which one of our patrons is a mole and is leaking my ideas in real time to YouTube directly? We'll have to do a little bit of investigation, turn this into our own little Agatha Christie novel, and find out who the killer is. Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Oh, something I forgot, by the way, when I was talking about the Real Weird Sickos podcast, Base Weight from the Discord, Baby Gang, etc., did the music for the intro. And so I forgot that part. And Ben, who edits our episodes, edited theirs. So it's really neat to see one of those things come out in so many different ways with so many people, like literally the people driving it, the music for it, the editing, all came out of the Create Unknown community in one way or another. And that's like a triply amazing project. So again, we'll throw the link in the description. Like and subscribe. You know the drill.
Yeah, it's like the patrons are taking that whole make something mean something mantra to heart. And they are making things and meaning
That's right.
things as a result.
I like it. Do we have, what was the, okay, future guest leaks. I think the only one we can leak right now is Jack Manifold. I think that's the big leak that we've got to give at this moment. Somebody else scheduled, and I can't remember who it was, for a weirdly long time down the line. So if we leak that, you'd be waiting a while anyway. Let's see, Kevin. This is a little old now, but E3 happened and game things happened. Did anything excite you in all of that?
Oh, just Elden Ring, which was the thing everybody was really excited about and looking forward to and have been looking forward to for a couple of years now, ever since they first just made the announcement for it. But yeah, Elden Ring is the next game made by From Software. They make the Dark Souls series, and they made Bloodborne, they made Sekiro. They're the most incredible games. So I know that, Matt, you don't know anything about this world, but you could see the palpable energy that that was leaking across Twitter and different like group chats when this gameplay reveal came out. And that's just because, yeah, there aren't a whole lot of like creators and game directors that people get this excited about. But yeah, Hidetaka Miyazaki is definitely near the top of that list, and top of the list for me personally. You just never know what kind of game. I mean, you know what kind of game it's going to be, but it's always different. It's not really like, I don't know. It's not the same to me as like a new Mario game or a new Zelda game or the next Grand Theft Auto. Like, people are really excited about that stuff, and so am I. But I don't know. Maybe what I'm saying here will be annoying to some people. At the same time, it's like those franchises are pretty predictable in what to expect. But to me, I don't know. Every new From Software game, I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong about this, and those games are similar as well, because they are. But I don't know. There isn't an experience to me in video gaming like playing one of those games for the first time. You just don't really know what's going to happen. So that's what is so exciting about those games to me.
Another game-related question, because this dropped today, about Grand Theft Auto 6 probably not coming out until 2025, which, if you're not great with math, is 4 entire years from now. You said something on Twitter that seemed like that was okay. Do people agree with you on that, or are they impatient, or what?
Well, I think a lot of people are impatient. I mean, it's been an extremely long time since Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, and now to wait another several years for 6 to come out, like, it's
when was
already
5?
So it'll be 12 years between games, which is unheard of. It's not.
God.
It's not necessarily unheard of. I think some franchises have taken that long, but that's usually when something is like a dead franchise and then they like revive it. This is not a dead franchise. Right, it's the biggest franchise in gaming, basically, or at least I think it is the biggest one. I think it is the best selling. Well, Minecraft it sells better than GTA, but I think that's the list. It's like Minecraft and then Grand Theft Auto games, or Grand Theft Auto 5. Oh, and Tetris. Yeah, Tetris is up there. But what I said was that, look, if we have to wait that long, that is unfortunate for sure. But I do not ever want to see another Cyberpunk 2077 situation ever again in my life. As a quote unquote gamer, that situation was so unnecessary and horrible and ridiculous. And that game, even people waited 7 years or something between the announcement and when it came out. And when that game came out, it was broke. It was unplayably broken on certain systems, on certain consoles. You couldn't even really play it on PlayStation 4, which is what it came out with. I played it on PlayStation 5, and it still crashed more than any other game I've ever played on a console in my life by like an order of magnitude or two. And even when it wasn't crashing, it was like obviously an unfinished game where a lot of the mechanics were like just half put together or were useless. That game should have taken another 2 years easily, I think, in development. And they just put it out to, I guess, make the stockholders of CD Projekt Red happy or something. I don't know. There's some business decision behind it. But anyway, my point is, if GTA takes 4 years to make and it's done and it's awesome, who cares? Don't release the game early like they did with Cyberpunk and make everybody all mad that they paid. I mean, I can't even imagine being one of those people who bought one of those like $200 special editions of Cyberpunk and they bring it home and they pop the thing in and it's just this broken mess. It's horrible. Don't do that. That sucked.
Well, real quick, I want to shout out James, Australian James. He's back. He hasn't been able to be around for a little while, and him popping in the episode chat and saying, hey, is making everybody else go absolutely bonkers. So that's cool to see. Every single day, it's like, where's James? We need James back. So it's good to see the boy back in the mix.
That this was the M. Night Shyamalan episode? Now we have James popping up like out of the blue.
It is.
Just full of surprises.
We couldn't have scripted this. Yeah. Do we have, I don't think anybody pinned questions. We do a couple more. By the way, when somebody pulled up the list of the most sold games, it was Minecraft, GTA 5, Tetris, but then Wii Sports. There's a lot of love for Wii Sports, and I know it came with the console. Somebody pointed that out, so it still counts as a game sale, I suppose. But did you like Wii Sports? Were you a fan of the Weenus machine?
Oh yeah, I mean it was incredible when that first came out. It was very novel, but I will say that, and I did like Wii Sports. It was a fun thing to play with a friend, more so as like a co-op thing to do digital bowling with a friend than really anything else. But I didn't like the Wiimote controls.
100-pin digital bowling.
Yeah, I didn't like the Wiimote controls on other games like Metroid Prime 3 and Skyward Sword. I don't know. When I'm playing video games, I don't want to be waggling a stick in order to win or lose. That's just my point of view. Tom Videogore just shared the funniest
all
GIF.
Video gaming is stick waggling. Of a guy shaking the Wii like a maraca.
Yeah, he's just convulsing with the Wiimote.
So I want to stay on this though, because I've been meaning to ask you, like, outside of the podcast for months. Isaac says thoughts on funky triggers on the PS5. I want to know, like, you've had a PS5 for a while. I see people, some people happy with it on Twitter, and some people, are like, there are only a handful of games for this. How do you feel now? What has it been, 6 months with the PS5?
I love it, and here's what I love about it that I don't really see people talking about. Playing PS4 games on it is amazing because there's almost no loading because it has the solid state hard drive. The loading is almost gone. So you can play, you can go back, and even if you're playing a PS4 game that doesn't have, like, you'll see these like free upgrades to PS5 version, like the Doom Eternal one just came out, etc., etc. You don't have to. There doesn't have to be a PS5 upgraded version of a game for you to play that PS4 game on the PS5 machine, and it being a million times better of an experience because there's no loading. and you don't really notice how like here's an example of the difference. Okay. A lot of games, when there's a loading screen, I'll look at my phone, I'll check Twitter, I'll check my email, because you're just sitting there every now and then waiting for the friggin' thing to load. Now, so I have this like ingrained habit of when a loading screen pops up, I'll grab my phone. I swear to you, I do this now just by force of habit. I'll grab my phone during a loading screen playing a game on the PS5, and as soon as I pick it up, the thing has loaded. Like, I don't even look at it. I just pick up the phone, and then I just put it back down because the thing has loaded already, and I could play the next level or whatever it is. So just that alone, regardless of the meager library, which, look, if people don't remember like console launches, the library is always meager. Gosh, look at the console launch of the PS1. I mean, how many people were excited to play like Battle Arena Toshinden or Jumping Flash? Not a lot. So that doesn't bother me. And in the meanwhile, there's about 1 billion PS4 games that I still haven't played that run way better on the PS5. So I think it's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nobody remembers that like the opening round of cartridges for NES. It was like the best thing was like Excite Bike. And Excite Bike is blocky, like blocky 2D scrolling motorbike racing. It wasn't that great. All of their stuff was, well, not all, but most of it was kind of like ported from arcade games into some of the early cartridges. There was Mario and Duck Hunt and all that stuff that was really cool, but like most of them weren't that cool. A couple stood out. Tom's got the 17 launch games, including baseball, golf, kung fu, which was terrible, soccer, tennis. Yeah, these were kind of lame for the most part. Clue Land, which I've never heard of.
As like a 5-year-old, I thought kung fu was pretty cool.
It wasn't. It wasn't at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got the screen from it. Oh, God. So next thing, Kevin, the headline here is, looks like Elon Musk is serious about nuking Mars, I guess in an effort to terraform it. How do you, as Vsauce 2, feel about Elon Musk's plan to nuke Mars?
I don't know. It's been a while since I looked into the options for terraforming Mars. And even with that, when I wouldn't call myself an expert or a scholar on that by any stretch of the imagination. I just know that's really hard. I mean, it's just hard it's so far away. So I don't know. Part of it seems like a pretty bad idea, just in terms of the whole idea of like nuking the thing in case there's stuff there we would want to study that's now been nuked. That doesn't seem great, but I don't know. I'm not enough of an expert on that sort of thing to give like a really impassioned response to it. The only thing I do know is that the idea of making Mars inhabitable is definitely a tough one, and something that will absolutely probably need to involve lots and lots of robots, not human beings being there really doing much of anything.
What I want is a sponsorship partnership deal with Elon Musk and Vsauce 2, so that you are pulling the trigger on the nuke for Mars. I want that to be the thing, is that like science educational whatever YouTuber pulls the trigger to nuke Mars, and you just go down in the history book as being the guy who actually nuked Mars. I want to see that happen for you.
Yeah, I mean, even if I was against it, I'd want to do it just for the notoriety of the history books of like, this idiot nuked Mars.
Somebody's got to pull the trigger.
Can't believe it. Yeah.
Oh, is that an old article? Yeah, it says 2019 on that nuking Mars. Well, guess what? It's been 2 years and hasn't been nuked. So I guess Mars got a stay of execution.
Yeah. Yeah, for now. I just remember, I wish I could recall it better, but as longtime listeners know, my brain is smooth, flat, shiny, and like a pancake, so I have a hard time remembering things. But I read a great article once about an honest look at inhabiting other planets, and it all came down to probes. It all came down to like machines that we would have to, send to these different places. And then the machines did tons of work as far as even like replicating themselves, like building more machines, like you send a certain amount of machines to the planet, and then those machines can build more machines somehow to do all of like the ridiculous amount of work required to do something like terraforming, which is an insane prospect, but it's not outside the realm of possibilities. It's an insane thing with our like current limited resources to do that. But like theoretically, if we were able to create probes and robots that were able to do this work, I guess it is possible.
Yeah, I would settle for like a snowplow that plowed my road dependably. It's the worst part when I read stuff like, this headline that Tom just linked in, that it's going to take 10,000 missiles to terraform Mars, and Elon Musk says that's not a problem. I look at it, I'm like, this is crazy. It's like ambitious. It's otherworldly. And there are days where like I can't leave the house at like 10 in the morning because there's still a ton of snow and ice on the road. Like just if he invented a better snowplow, I would lose my mind. I would go bananas. Oh, it would be the most significant thing in my lifetime.
I thought you were just going to say.
Instead, he's trying to nuke Mars.
Yeah, just nuke Earth first and get rid of this terrible weather. And then you would need snowplows.
No, I just want the snow moved. Yeah. I don't want it warmed. I just want to push it to the side dependably.
Yeah. You should get one of those heated driveways. Have you seen those? That's a thing.
Yeah. I've read about it. Yeah. I don't know. That water's got to go somewhere. And I don't have drainage for that. I mean, it's bad enough when the snow melts in April.
Yeah.
And it's like sopping whatever. Because I know that people have tried to invent like almost like a push snowblower, but it's basically a flamethrower of sorts, like a propane thing that just blasts fire out, to melt the stuff. Well, that's great. But then instead of snow, you're going to have a sheet of perfect ice from freshly melted water. So you've got to move that water once it's melted. And that would be a challenge for me.
Yeah.
Not big on water moving. And as we learned from Diana Cowan, those kinds of things are stubborn, like with the mud puddle. Yeah, you just can't deal with it very easily. So no, just push it to the side, get on with your day. But I do need it to be done dependably.
All right. So if somebody pops a link in that there's a new Tesla snowplow that just was announced today, that would be the final cherry on top. But if not, then I think that I think we're good on surprises for this episode between the
oh my God. Kevin, look at the episode chat. I got to interrupt you. Look at this. There's a YouTube video called World's First Tesla Snow Plowing Business, and it's a Tesla that's plowing snow. This is the reality now.
Well,
wow. Oh my God. I didn't know that Teslas had an attachment to do this. Holy shit. That's really significant.
Well, there you go. It says if you have a Tesla and trailer hitch, you can turn your electric vehicle into a snowplow and clear your driveway with ease. So,
oh my God.
Well,
so I rip on Elon Musk for doing frivolous, stupid things and not making a better snowplow, and then immediately he makes a better snowplow. This is remarkable. Is there anybody who needs like some kind of miracle that we can talk about now and just have it happen like in the next 10 minutes?
Well, it looks like the plow is on the back, so you have to like back up. You have to drive backwards.
Fine with that. I've got a backup camera.
That works. Okay.
I don't have a Tesla, but yeah. I'd totally consider one though. For that functionality, I absolutely would consider one. That's how significant it is. So that's cool.
All right. Well, I think on that note, I want to thank all of our patrons for hanging out with us. I hope that you enjoyed this solo guest-free episode. Be sure to look out for the shirts again. Just wanted to mention that, before we go, that the shirts are available.
Blast them everywhere. Get
them while you can, because they're going to sell like hotcakes and be gone forever until the next time, we do this, which I'm not sure when that will be. So you want to take advantage of that now. But thanks again to everybody hanging out with us. I hope that you enjoyed the revelation of the YouTube theme park or whatever it's going to be that's coming to a Los Angeles near you. And check out patreon.com/thecreateunknown if you want to become a patron, join the Discord, hang out with us, send us links about snowplows from Tesla,
get your immediate discount too. Get your immediate shirt discount.
Yeah.
Get your immediate shirt discount.
Which, we didn't mention earlier, but for the price that you're paying for this shirt with the quality that went into it, quality is not free, folks. You pay for quality, but if you're a patron, oh my gosh, it's basically like getting the nicest, most expensive shirt you will own for next to nothing. So go do that.
Yeah.
And check out all
and by the way, you're going to see us at VidCon. Sorry, we just had a delay on audio. But one thing we didn't mention, Kevin, about the whole VidCon discussion is that we're going to be at VidCon. Like we never reminded people that, hey, if you're going, we can see you there, kind of thing. Say hey. That's significant. And it's, what is it, October 2020 something. I'm Googling it. Friday, October 22nd to Sunday, October 24th. So, yeah, the tickets just went on sale last week. If anybody's interested in going to VidCon, make sure you get your tickets before they sell out. I suppose they have in the past. But, yeah, look into it. It's time to start thinking about travel and tickets and all that stuff if this is your kind of thing.
That's right. We will be there live in the flesh as the major TikTokers that we are. But yeah, if you're going, let us know. We'd love to say hey, and we'll be back next week with Jack Manifold. Until then, we will see you, Space Cowboys.
Thanks for listening to The Create Unknown. We'd like to extend a huge thank you and congratulations to the Tots and Dumpster crew who save tiny little lives every single month. A tremendous shout out to our elite baby gang commanders, Linus, our newest, Trevsdead, Boromir, Bot Dogs, Chinchilla, Isaac, Conrad, James, Andrew, Jeff Davis, Patrick Pister, Baseweight, Monahim, Dojangles, and Zero. And thanks to our grizzled, battle-hardened child infantry, Jen Maffasanti, Kevin Menard, Mikhail Steinke, Risebread, Sean Malone, Triple Question Mark, Ryan, Kamikaze, Maria Marco, Sheep, Tom Videogre, Jelksies, and Dan the Latch. Thank you as well to our indentured servants, producer Dan Yosua and producer-editor Ben Webster. Thanks to Baseweight for use of Created in the Unknown for the opening theme, and to Electro Voice for giving us mics to sound good on top of it. The Create Unknown is an Unknown Media production in partnership with Studio 71.